Hey, guess what guys? It's late at night and Abby's drinking whiskey. My UTI is completely gone, so yay! I've been staying so hydrated the last 2 weeks. Highly recommend. Also, my glass matches my lipstick. And before I get into the actual purpose of this video, and before everybody asks me, I'm wearing Midnight Wasabi from Fenty Beauty, one of the Mademoiselle lipsticks. There's that, because I knew that everybody was gonna ask, because like I'm wearing an army green lipstick. So I would ask. If I was watching a video where somebody was just casually wearing a green lipstick, I'd be like, what is that? Anyway, let me put this down real quick. There's been one question that I've gotten relatively often that I feel like is kind of a second nature thing to me that I don't often think that other people have issues with, and that is discovering new music. Because pretty much discovering bands and new music is part of my job because I make a television show about bands. So I don't think about it often. I just like, it's just kind of a part of my life. So I figured I would give you guys some tips and tricks on ways that I kind of discover new music and kind of open my ears to stuff I wouldn't have normally just stumbled upon, because there's only so much you can do. So here's some tips for you. So if you do live in a town or in a city that has a decent music scene, even a really small music scene, finding venues that are relatively small that have really inexpensive door prices. Like I'll go to things that it's $5, $7, $12. I rarely spend over $20 for a door price, because most of the time if I'm going to bigger shows, I'm photographing them, so I don't actually have to pay, but that's another story. But I will look at calendars, see what bands are coming up. If there's a night that I have nothing to do, I'll just go to a show. If I like see a band that I've never heard of, I'll do some research on them and see if I like them. I keep up to date with show calendars, and it's helpful that a lot of people that I know are actually in bands, so I get invited to a lot of stuff, and so I kind of actively get sent things about bands that I don't actually know about yet. So taking advantage of the local music scene, I think, is the biggest thing that I've done, and the biggest thing that I feel like has kind of opened my eyes to a lot of different music. So if you live in a town where you can actually go see live music, take advantage of it, because you have a privilege that not a lot of people have. For those of you who don't live in a town where you can see music all the time, staying up on festival lineups and just stuff happening generally around you, whether or not you can go, just to see what kind of bands are up and coming and what kind of bands are coming to your area. Like maybe you live a few hours outside Cincinnati, but you want to see who's coming to Cincinnati. Kind of seeing what's generally happening, because I think so much of what is kind of shoved in our face within pop music is so much the same. And like on YouTube even, I'm like, I can't even keep track of artists anymore. I was like, wait, this girl isn't Halsey, but she sounds like Halsey. I literally can't tell the difference between like so many white girl vocalists these days. I'm like, who is she? I don't know. And then as far as like actually online, I have a very conflicted relationship with Spotify, because as far as paying the artists, it doesn't do a good job. It is cheap with their artists. It is not good with actually like paying the artists what they're worth. But as far as getting artist names out there, I think it is the best option right now. I feel like so many people have it and so many people are on it. I have the free Spotify, so I actually can't choose what I'm going to listen to down to the song, and I also only have 6 skips an hour. So if I'm driving somewhere, driving to my parents' house for instance, and it's anywhere from an hour and a half to 2.5 hours to get there, I will turn on Spotify in my car and I will play through some artists, some playlists. But because I only have so many skips, I kind of force myself to listen to stuff that I wouldn't normally listen to. And a lot of the songs that I've included in my songs of the day have been stuff that I've just stumbled upon based on recommended stuff from the bands that I actually listen to regularly. It just opens my ears to some artists that are similar enough to the artists that I already love, to where I'm like, I'm gonna save this song, I'm gonna save this song. I love using the shuffle for that. I feel like it's a great way to just find some new shit, you know? Just find some new stuff. And on top of that, I actually listen to my Discover playlist every week. I've never had an instance where the Discover playlist has been so off. I've had some where like some of the songs were like, meh, but like there's always at least a few songs on there where I'm like, yeah, you get me. Like you get me. It's kind of like, if any of you guys ever use Last.fm, it's like Last.fm but like with a better radio application. Because like Last.fm had all these recommended artists for you and showed you how many times you played a song, but like the radio thing was not as good. Yeah, I use the Discover playlist every week. I've had some weeks where like the Discover playlist was like weirdly specific and I'm like, Spotify, are you reading my mind? Like, are you reading my mind? It was weird. It was very weird how accurate it was. More whiskey. Oh, that smooth R&R coming in that plastic bottle. So as far as Spotify goes, using the shuffle and actually listening to your Discover playlist, and whenever Spotify has any of those like fun games, like they did the Stranger Things one where it's like you took a quiz and then it like based your current plays on like what person in Stranger Things you were. I got Jonathan, by the way, which was very accurate. Doing those I think is really fun because it's just like a more productive BuzzFeed quiz, because then you get like a playlist out of it. So it's not just like you're a Gryffindor or you're this character from Game of Thrones. It's like, oh, you're this character and also here's a bunch of music to listen to. So I feel like Spotify has kind of worked that social media aspect into it in a decent way. So if you don't want to pay for Spotify, don't look at it as a bad thing, because I feel like if I paid for Spotify, I would just listen to the same things over and over again, which is fun sometimes. Like if you just want to like jam out to one song or one artist over and over, but I actually really like finding new bands that I wouldn't have otherwise known about. That's my alternative to radio, because I rarely listen to radio anymore in my actual car, like actual radio, which brings me to my next point. KEXP is our local radio station, our local independent radio station, and it is such a good resource all around the world, even if you don't live here. Not only can you stream it online, so you can actually like listen to KEXP online, they have apps so you can listen on your phone, and the YouTube channel, they upload live performances almost every single day, I'm pretty sure. So artists will come in from out of town, from around the country. Like they've gone to Iceland to do some of these things. They've gone to festivals across the country. They're internationally known for like finding music and discovering music. So if you are kind of in like a rut and you're like, I really need some new shit, KEXP is a great resource for that, because they kind of don't stick to the same thing, because they have like a world music show and then they have people that are very into certain types of music. Yeah, you can just listen to the radio online and it's great. You can tell that it's not like controlled by labels, which is really nice, because radio these days sounds all the same. Like even our alternative radio, the end has gone down a hill that I never wanted it to. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's all gonna be like the same. Cool, Imagine Dragons over and over again. Great. And then one last point I wanted to mention, I actually talked with my boyfriend about this earlier. In the last year or so, I have started listening to a lot more hip hop, and that wasn't ever really something I did when I was younger. And I found that I liked a lot of the stuff that I found. So I feel like kind of take a leap into a genre that you may have never liked when you were younger, because our tastes evolve and our tastes change. I know I will never like mainstream country, and that will never change just because of like reasons. If you asked me 5 years ago what one of my favorite records of the year would have been, and if I would have told you it was like a hip hop, like a really like a dirty like hip hop, like Run the Jewels, me as a 22-year-old would have been like, but what about Death Camp for Cutie though? I definitely have broadened my horizons since then. I got into Animal Collective, was something that I discovered at Sasquatch, and I've gotten into more hip hop, and I appreciate more hip hop, and I appreciate more dance music, even though I don't know the difference between the different genres of dance music. If you ask me what was house and what was trap, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like maybe taking just a little dip into another genre to see if your tastes have changed at all is an interesting adventure to take, because I kind of have discovered that, oh, I do like some of this like progressive mathy post-rock stuff in the last year, which brings me back to like when I was 15, which is weird. It might take a little bit of work, because you're like, I don't necessarily know what's good in this genre. Doing a little bit of research, but then that might lead you down like a rabbit hole, domino effects into like a whole new world, you know? Yep. So those are some tips I have. Help you broaden your musical horizons. I hope it was helpful. If you have any other ways that you discover new music, leave them in the comments below. That would be lovely. For your song of the day today, this is actually a great example. Noah Gunderson has been doing his cheap date thing for 2 months now, and I went and saw it last week, and the band that like headlined the show this month is this band called O Rose, and they're actually from Olympia, and if you know anything about Olympia music, you would understand what they sound like. Kind of abstract feminist punk riot girl, but it's great and it's wonderful, and I was like, what is this? How have I never known this? And I was like, dude, where has this band been all my life? But your song of the day is called 7. It's really heavy. The music video is crazy, but I highly recommend it. I highly recommend you listen to that whole album that it's on. O Rose, they're awesome. So that's something that I would have never seen, but it was a secret show. So like, if you have any shows in your town where it's like a secret show and the door price is under $10, like jump on that shit, because it'll be fun no matter what. It's like those eBay surprise unboxings, but like with a lineup of bands. Does that make sense? Maybe? Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Please hit subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the little bell so you can know when I upload shit, because YouTube is permanently broken all the time. Check out my previous video. It was my makeup palette collection, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!